Welcome to the Nicky Hughes Show, the place where we unearth pure gold in everyday stories. I'm Nicky, your host, and each week I bring you compelling conversations with real people that inspire, inform, and connect. Whether we're diving into the dynamic world of business with business briefs, exploring the mindset of champions with sports shorts, or celebrating the unsung heroes in local legends, this is your space for powerful, impactful stories from remarkable individuals. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get started. Welcome to today's edition of Business Briefs with Nicky Hughes. And today I'm speaking with Brian O'Neill, who is the founder and director of Sore Thumb, which is a business-to-business lead gen agency. Brian, you're completely welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, good. Thanks for having me on. First podcast ever, so excited to get it on the road.
Before we go any further, I have to ask you, we're actually talking from overseas to each other. So you're based in Spain at the moment. Tell me about that.
Yes, so moved over here, 3rd of January, I believe it was. Flew over here, whatever that is, 18 days or something. So I was living in Portugal before Christmas and just moved out here in January just to get a bit of sun, work outside of Ireland and just enjoy the weather a bit more.
So we're going to have to delve into this a little bit further because this is all relatively new territory for me. So you're one of a fast growing number of Irish people, young Irish entrepreneurs who are choosing to live and work overseas, right? So why does that happen? How does it happen? And what are the motivations behind it?
Yeah, so it's definitely a growing thing. There's a lot of talent coming out of Ireland and there has been talent out of Ireland, but it's kind of, if you're not really looking into the space, the online space, you don't really hear of them. Like there's still names popping up from Ireland that are maybe in their 30s or whatever that are super successful that I've never even heard of. So yeah, there's a huge surge in young Irish entrepreneurs, even a lot younger than me too. Like there's 17 all the way up, starting off some sort of online business, whether it's in, an agency, online sales, just any sort of remote work that's online. There's just huge opportunity. You can work anywhere you want, but you can also work have clients in any place you want as well. So the US is always a big one for that, just because, it's the US. There's a lot more opportunities than Ireland. So, but crazy amounts of younger people coming up.
So when you say crazy amounts of people, are we talking tens of people? Are we talking hundreds of people? Are we talking thousands of young entrepreneurs who are actively involved in online business and actively seeking or living overseas already?
I'd say in Ireland, it's hard to know because, again, I don't know, obviously, everyone who's doing it. I just know of the ones I know of. But I would say it's coming to the thousands. I'd be confident with that, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of young Irish people coming up. There's a lot of already young, successful ones out there too. So it's definitely becoming more of a thing. I think people are starting to see the potential that outside of the 9-to-5s, the online work, there's so much freedom behind it too. That I think that's what people are kind of looking for now.
And how do you make that decision to move overseas for your work? Do you socialize with the entrepreneurs in Ireland? Do you meet them online? I mean, how do you know where the other entrepreneurs are living and how do you know where to go? I mean, could you go to Romania to work if you wanted to?
That's the joy of it. You can really go anywhere that you want. The main thing is the time zones you're going to. Because if you have, for example, if you have a lot of clients that are in the US, you don't want to be in a time zone where you're in bed when they're awake kind of thing. You want to have some sort of commonality in a time zone. But in terms of how you find them, I actually don't even know how I came across. There's two groups that I'm in. One is A Players Club, which is more focused on a community base rather than like a kind of program or course. It's just a lot of people from all over the world, but heavily Irish. It's an Irish owned by two guys from Longford. I think both of them are from Longford, yeah. And I can't remember how I came across it. I just saw it on one of his Instagram stories that he was launching this thing. So I just jumped in it. And you just kind of connect with people. The more you're in it, the more you hear of things. There's this group here, there's that group there. But there's always stuff popping up.
Okay, so it's relatively easy to tap into where people are and the best places to go to work and so on.
I wouldn't say relatively easy. It's you still have to kind of look for it, or at least know someone who's done it. Like that guy that launched that A Players Club, James Galligan, doing great things as well, like organizing. I haven't been to any other than there was a dinner over the Christmas in Dublin, but organizing ski trips, masterminds, like all these events. The ski trip was, I don't know, in Austria, I think. The masterminds in Marbella. Like there's all these events popping up that are bringing everyone because, again, it's online. There's only so much you can kind of connect on and just get to know someone online. But these masterminds, then they bring you together that you're actually meeting people in person. Yeah, you do have to look for them. But I think more when you're in this space, you'll find them once you're in it. I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned that you lived in Portugal before Spain for exactly the same reasons, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much just decent weather, cheap, good quality of life, nice gyms by a beach, sun is shining. Like those three things, I think are, especially when you're working remotely, it's gym is obviously essential. I think being around the sun is also pretty essential for your mood, and being by a beach is just kind of a preference, but also maybe a necessity as well.
Yeah, so sometimes when you're looking online or looking on TV, you see these nomadic business people wandering around in their camper vans and doing their work on their laptop at 6 a.m., looking out over a beautiful beach. So it's actually true. It's not just a dream for people to have.
Yeah, well, now the camper van part now is a bit, I wouldn't be doing stuff like that. If it's something you're serious about, I wouldn't recommend bouncing around a camper van to do it. Taking sales calls in the back of a van doesn't really give the best impression, but it is definitely possible. You can kind
Yeah.
of travel wherever you want.
Now, just finishing up on the time zone discussion. So you are 1 hour ahead of GMT.
Yeah.
And the majority of your customers in the US, are they on the East Coast or are they centrally placed or on the West Coast? Where are they?
A bit of a mix. So it can clash a small bit, not clash, but it's 11 p.m. is like kind of midday for them. So it does get sometimes the phone will be hopping and you just want to get to bed. But it's part of the game, I guess.
So you don't really start interacting with the US before, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that right?
4:30 p.m. is actually when I set my thing, do outreach and do all that stuff. 4:30. It's kind of just the common, I guess, US morning times. It can be around 2, but the kind of common where they all sync at the same time. I figured 4:30 is a good time for me.
Great segue to start talking about your business. So you're the founder and director of Sore Thumb, which is a B2B lead gen agency. So let's take that from the start and talk us through how it happened, what motivated you to get involved, where you're at now, and so on. So you're not trained as a digital marketer, are you?
No, not at all. It's actually a funny little story, I guess. So it's been pretty much kind of this time last year was when I really went all in on it. Just slightly over a year, January of last year, definitely. And yeah, I'm actually a qualified architect. Well, architectural technician, but it's easier to say architect to people. Yeah, qualified architect, worked in architecture 9 to 5s for I think maybe 3 to 4 years. Was living in London. I kind of knew about all this online stuff for probably 2 years prior till I actually started it. And it was something that was always in the back of my head that I wanted to do, but just never really jumped. I guess there was a lot of comfort there with an architecture job, a 9 to 5. It was decent pay. Although now I'm like, that's not really, but it's decent pay. What it was stable. You know you're going to get paid. You're showing up. You can leave. You don't have to think about work after you leave, which is also, I guess, a bit of a bonus. Yeah, it was November 14th of the one just gone, the one previous. So what was that, 2023? Yeah, November 2023. I had a good job. It was a nice job, nice paying, living in London, and went in one day. Company just turned around. I thought something was off because I didn't see the boss in probably like all week. And he just came in and called a team meeting. And I just said, something's wrong. And he just said, guys, we've no money. Business is gone. Finish out your day and you can go home. I was like, well, fuck that. This guy's telling me I lost my job. I'm not going to stay for the rest of the day. So packed up, left. And I don't know what it was, but it was such a moment where I could have, been like, oh my God, what is happening? I'm in London. It's halfway into the month of November, no pay, bills to pay, all of that stuff. But I remember walking home back to the tube and just being like, no, I was relieved for some reason. So I think it was a bit of a push, a bit of a test to say, okay, you've been thinking about this in the back of your head to make this jump. And now here you go. We shoved you into it. So I think it was a right time. It was a perfect thing to happen. And it just gave me that push to say, right, now or never. If I can't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. So yeah.
Do you think that people of the up and coming generation have more or less cynicism towards the corporate world or towards working for the larger corporations, the larger businesses? Do you think there's a drive to do more stuff yourself now? And you've had a very, very interesting experience there. What do you think of that?
I think people are, not that there's like a resentment towards business owners that are employing people to do a 9 to 5. I don't think there's necessarily like a resentment or anything towards it. I think people are just realizing that you do have the ability to think for yourself. And if it's something that you really want, there's a ceiling with 9 to 5s, like 100%. I don't feel like you can't reach your full potential. If you're aware of it, a lot of people aren't. They don't see the potential that they could have or the opportunities that are out there. And that's fine. It's not for everyone. If everyone tried to do their own thing, it would be a bit of a crazy world to live in. But I think for the ones who even see it or see other people do it, everything that's happening now there's more communities coming up, just an online presence. People are a lot more aware that it's a thing. I think that itself is just for the ones that may have something in the back of their head, there's a lot more exposure to it. At least, every year there's always more stuff coming up with it. So
that little thing that's in the back of your head, it's almost like some people talk about having the little person on their shoulder that goes, there's something else for you out there. You got other ideas. You think you're going down the traditional 9 to 5 route, but no, I've got different plans for you. So where did that come from? And have you always had that desire to go do something for yourself?
That's actually a funny question. It just made me think about when I was younger, getting the first jobs in, just worked in a lot of bars when I was younger in Kilkenny, obviously just to get a bit of pocket money and stuff like that. But I got fired from majority of them. And for the main reason it was, and it's not like I'm not trying to gloat about getting fired or anything, but thinking of that now, they always, especially in hospitality, it was such a cutthroat industry that some young 16-year-old coming in looking to make some money, they just feel like, yeah, we'll give him all the shit stuff to do and treat him like shit. And it was always something I just never stood for. And I always called every single person out that did. And it always resulted in them just giving me the boot. So I think I wasn't conscious of it then, that was probably what was going on in the back of my head, that I just didn't really like how someone had so much control over me. And I think, thinking back on that now, it probably was in the back of my head, but completely oblivious to it. So I think it's always been there, but just pushed to the side for a long time.
And sometimes when people have a similar mindset to yourself, you can almost track it back to how they were raised. And I am generalizing here, and I'm saying that people who have grown up in the farming world tend to be very self-sufficient in nature and like to do their own things. So I'm just interested, and we don't have to go into this in any great detail, but are you from a family of self-employed people, or are you from a family of people who worked with larger companies all their lives?
No, honestly, Dad's a hard worker, been in a job for longer than I've been alive, which I think is crazy. And he's a man to grind. He works very hard, always has provided for us. And there was never a sense of kind of entrepreneurship in the family or anything, but they were always supportive in anything we'd done. I obviously went to college, got a degree. They were obviously happy with that. But when I told them about what I want to do, I didn't tell them for a while. I actually lost that job in November, and I went home for Christmas, didn't mention anything about it. I just said, the architecture job is great. And then kind of in the new year, once it started to be a bit more of a plan, then I told them, and there was never an ounce of, they didn't know anything about it. So they were kind of curious. They were very supportive about it. They always do support it.
I have this wonderful image now of you walking through this tube station in London. It's a cold, wet November day. You've just been fired or let go from your job. Coat has kind of come up around, keeping you warm, hats down low on your face, and you've got this drive within you to say, you could decide, couldn't you? You can decide today that today is either the worst day in your career or it's the biggest opportunity in your career. And you've obviously chosen the latter. So at that moment, you can pinpoint your decision to that very moment. That's when you were going to go and do this thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was always there, but yeah, that was just
the tipping point.
Yeah, it was just like, right, let's go. Let's do it.
So what did you do?
I literally just got home. After that, it was midday as well. Everyone was still working, so there was no one. I didn't even tell anyone for a while, but I just went home, bought probably the worst course out there. It's the entry course. I always see like there's these courses online about how to start an online business, and a lot of them are gateways to the good ones. But yeah, I literally just went home, sat on my laptop, and just bought a course straight away that same day, and just started learning and trying to figure out something I had no clue about. But
you had no business idea per se. All you knew is that you wanted to make money online. Is that right?
I knew it was going to be a service-based business, like an agency type thing. I did actually go back that day, and it was like an online sales course. There was 3 different courses within the main platform. It was like a sales one, a copywriting one, and an agency one. And the sales one just seemed a lot more rewarding, I guess, and didn't seem as intense as starting a business. You just take sales calls and do stuff like that. But I ended up just veering back into the agency one.
The agency one, I mean, what does that mean? So what does being an agency mean in the world of online?
That's a fair question. You can be a recruitment agency, you can be a consultant agency. There's a lot of different things you can do, but the main one for me was working with like lead generation, I guess. But that's also a very saturated term in this space. So it's trying to make it sound better. So I like to go with a customer acquisition partner, I guess. But yeah, there's a load of different ones you can do. You can work with e-com brands and run their ad. Yeah, it's a very big industry. But for me, I always kind of wanted to do the work with local businesses or just businesses in general that need good quality leads. So that's kind of where I found myself veering into.
So let's pretend that I am a plumber in Dublin City. Do I need to work with you?
Do you want more customers?
Yes, I need more customers. I need to fill up my day better.
Perfect. Do you want more commercial work or do you want more residential?
I'm not quite sure which is the most profitable, but I think residential customers are more profitable than the commercial stuff. I'm not sure.
And you work in both, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you want you're catching me on my sales game here now. It's not, I didn't expect that, but yeah, I get like it's anyone who needs work. If they need residential, it's obviously a different kind of channel for that. If it's commercial, it's also a different channel for that. Plumbing's actually a good one that I'm started to do a bit of outreach on for. And it's mainly the commercial work because the lifetime value of those is a lot higher than a kind of one-off residential job. If you get a commercial contract with a property management company, if you do one good job on one property, they'll give you half their portfolio and see how they handle it. So if they're higher ticket with commercial too, you could be working on apartment blocks, a whole apartment block rather than a single home, you know? So that's kind of the route I'm going, at least to begin with, is get the service-based businesses, get them commercial work, and then kind of veer back into plugging in some residential stuff for them as well.
Let's stick with the commercial then, right? So I talk to you probably online, I'm sure, or maybe by Zoom call or whatever it is. So what do you do then?
So it's
and we agree to work together. Okay. So what happens then?
It's a simple, I'm not going to say simple, but it's something that I think people overcomplicate. I overcomplicated it like crazy in the beginning of just doing unproductive work, thinking I was productive, just doing the wrong things. But It's literally just as simple as if I message someone, say, hey, do you need more work? Or in a nutshell, that's essentially how I kind of put myself out there to these businesses, just ask them if they need more work, get them booked in, figure out what they want, where they are, where they want to go, problems they're having, whatever they've tried in the past and whatnot. Figure out how to structure my offer around that and make it like a bit of a no-brainer offer for them, I guess. They sign on and it's pretty much wherever their area is. So for example, if they're plumbing in New York, they want to work with property management companies, hotels, apartment complexes, big properties, we'll say. There's a load of different softwares out there to get that data, but essentially you just plug that info in. I want property management companies in New York, and you just get all their emails. You blast out emails to them, soft pitching the service, and then, you just get them appointments, really. It's still something I'm trying to build out a better service for, on how to like give them job ready people rather than just like interested leads.
Okay, so this is really fascinating, by the way. This is good stuff because I don't know. This is not my world, so I don't know about this. So this is great, really good. So back to the plumbing then, right? So I sign an agreement with you. Is that right? Is there a contract or how does that work?
Yeah. So initially, because as well, there's a lot of people, if you have a service-based business, whether, like a window cleaning company or a plumbing business, whatever it is, I'd say 70% of them have probably been burned by a shitty agency before. Someone's come along, guaranteed them XYZ, haven't pulled through, and their trust is down a lot. So something that works well is just putting a guarantee in there to say, hey, it just kind of makes it a bit more risk-free for them. But yeah, it would be initially like a 90-day agreement, just so they're not tied in for a year or something like that. And once there's proof of concept and they see it work, then it's just kind of 6 months to a year after that.
Okay. I agree then with you that you're going to go off and do whatever research you do, gather emails for my specific target market. So in this case, it's commercial customers for plumbing. And you go and you create an email marketing campaign. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much, in a nutshell.
Are you doing all that from scratch yourself, or are you using AI to help you? Or, well, first of all, how do you gather the emails, and then how do you formulate your campaigns?
The emails, there's just softwares out there that you just plug in what you want and it gives it back to you. It is as simple as I can make that one. In terms of the emails, they're just set up. You have the first email that gets sent out. You add a step in, it waits 3 days to send another one if they don't reply. And maybe you send another one again in a week, but that's all like automated. So you'll send a first, send a second, send a third. And once the replies come back in, there is an AI, but it's not perfect, that basically categorizes all the replies for you. So it reads them, knows if it's interested, not interested, out of office, whatnot. And from there, clients would have access to the same platform and they just get a notification on their phone saying, hey, new opportunity, once a positive reply comes through. So it's a straightforward kind of structure to it. I see gaps in it. I do see some gaps in the service side that could be improved for just how to make it more hands-off for the customer. Because, they're out doing the day-to-day stuff for the most part. That trying to follow up with leads and stuff isn't really a priority for them. They just want to get jobs. So
where does GDPR fit in all of this? Obviously, your customers are mostly based in the US, so GDPR is less of an issue there than it is here in Europe.
Yes.
Is it a consideration for you, or how do you get around that?
We may not have to upload this now after that question, but yeah, there is stuff. I think it's cat spam or spam cam or something in the States. They are like, it's still a thing. You have to put the reply stop, unsubscribe or something in cold emails. I try go under the radar with it and tweak it a bit, that you're still actually saying something that it's not like clear that it's going to be a marketing email, but you say something simple like, oh, just let me know if you're not interested or something. But again, the people that I work with, they're not really aggressively selling anything. They're not forcing someone on something or something on someone. So they're offering to clean someone's windows. to get caught out for it. It's not a huge thing. For myself, I don't put it in at all. I just send out blast emails and blast SMS and just reaching out to people. So,
yeah. Okay. So then a prospective customer comes back, says, yes, I'm interested. You forward that lead to me, the plumbing customer, and I go chase that lead. Is that right? And then if I close the deal with that customer, you get paid. Is that how it works?
There's some stuff like in the setup process. You basically set up these automations that will kind of channel the lead through to them without me having to like tell them. It just happens automatically. All their info gets logged on a sheet as well that they have access to. So they just have a full list of all their leads that came through. With paying, no, it's a monthly retainer thing that I do. I've actually tried before in the past with a couple of people in the beginning. I've done the commission structure and they just don't really pay. So I was like, no, I need something a bit more secure. But again, that's where the guarantee comes in that I put in, because I do appreciate that I'm asking for a monthly retainer up front, that it would be kind of unfair of me to not guarantee something for that. So it's kind of where the two-way street comes in there.
Now, going back to our little discussion around being an agency, I can see now how you become an agency, because if a lot or all of your work is automated to a large extent, that allows you to take on multiple clients in multiple different time zones. And you're effectively, the hands-on stuff is you getting the client. But after you secure the client, a lot of the work thereafter is automated.
For the most part, there's still daily stuff that you have to do to make sure it's running smoothly, reporting properly, tracking everything. There's a lot to do, but you couldn't possibly manually send 500 emails a day for every single client. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Anything that can be automated, I'm definitely trying to automate it without dropping in the service side. There's more and more AI stuff coming up that there's a lot you can definitely automate.
Can you give me an example of a live customer of yours? You don't have to name the customer, but just give me if you don't want to, just give me an example of what type of business they are, where are they, and the type of work you've brought in for them.
So there's a window cleaning company in Illinois. For the window cleaning companies, they are, even though there's like, window cleaning, could be a plumbing, could be a pest control, it could be a painter, whatever it is, their contracts will be different. Window cleaning companies, they don't want to work with the shop fronts because they're like $10, $20 jobs. So for those, it would be mainly focused on the property management companies, the hotels, the apartment complexes and stuff like that. So for those, I'd really just target them, those big buildings, get them those jobs. And honestly, some big commercial buildings, it's crazy that how much it costs to clean the windows of some of those buildings. If you have a 50-story building, it could be $25,000 per clean, and they want it cleaned 2-3 times a year. So one building, one good quality lead like that has generated $75,000 from one job.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. And that's all covered. Like, the advantage for your customer is that whether it's a contract for 5,000 or 75,000, it's still the same monthly fee for your customer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Yeah. Because if you were working on a commission basis, they're going to be paying out a lot more money, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And once you can show them, in the beginning, it's a lot harder to do because you don't really have any proof behind what you're doing. So you're trying to convince someone to pay you a monthly retainer with no backup or no leg to stand on. So you just have to have pure conviction behind what you're saying. And once you have some case studies there and they see that, they'll much rather pay a monthly retainer than pay commission. Because if you're showing them jobs for $75,000 a contract and you're saying, well, I might want 10% commission, that's already $7,500 that they're off one project. So it's a bit of a no-brainer in that sense.
Yeah. How will you scale this business now? So what are the next steps for you to increase your monthly retainers, to build your revenue? What are the key things that you have to put in place in order for that to happen?
acquisition is the biggest of all. So if you're not outreaching, if you're not signing deals, you're never going to grow. So that's number one. I've started to put more focus on that. You know, in the beginning, when I signed the first couple of clients, I got a bit comfortable because it was just a relief. I was like, oh, thank God, finally something coming in, and kind of took my foot off the gas to focus on the service side of it. But that was kind of ignorance on my part. You know, you just have to just stay driving through it. So that's also a lot of that as automated as possible in terms of the outreach also helps. Trying to build out my mentor at the minute, Adam Power, he calls them pods. So you kind of basically now I'm looking to hire someone and they take X amount of clients and you just slowly build like a pod that handles these 10 clients, for example. You build that little team around there and then you get another 10 clients and you have a pod for those. And then you just have pods within your business. And then you have an overall, I guess, a CEO or something that, or a manager of some kind that will manage the pods and then report back to you. So, because yeah, when you start out, you definitely call yourself an agency, but like the truth is you're a freelancer in the beginning because it's just you. You're behind a laptop, you're doing work and you're freelancing up until now. Now it's like, okay, this needs to be structured as a business, like a business. And so, yeah, that's kind of where my focus is going into now, is just how to build out.
Those people that become part of your pod, what kind of people are they, and why would they not go down the same route that you've gone down? Why would they not just do it themselves, for themselves?
That's a good question. Some people might be aware that they can do it and they might just not want to because they know it's tough. Like it is tough in the start. So yeah, some people know that they might have the ability, but they don't want the headache of it all. They don't want to build it up and put in the hours and whatnot. They just want to show up, get paid X amount and do X amount of hours, which is fine too. It's more stable. It's more of a comfort, I guess, but that's probably what it all boils down to. It's comfort. People don't like being uncomfortable.
You mentioned your mentor, Adam Power, and
yes.
the GOAT. Yes. Yeah. So this sounds to me, and I am aware of Adam, and I understand he does great work. So how important is it for you and for other people in your industry to have mentors? And how much reliance do you have on that mentor to get you going in the direction that you need to go?
It's a necessity. I wouldn't even say it's more of a preference. It's like you need a mentor if you want to go anywhere. Because like, if you think about it, firstly, when I started the first course I bought, it wasn't really a mentor. It was just, he's a big name in the space. He has a pretty shitty course, but you're just watching videos and learning lessons from him. I went to that one. That's obviously, you know, it's the gateway. He's one of the biggest names there for it, that he gets everyone in. Then from there, I ended up getting, because I realized it was such a bad one, I said, no, I want to work with someone who's like small time, has an agency, scaled it to like a decent number, but isn't this huge name. So I got a guy in the UK, and that was just another mistake in itself because he didn't have the experience. He scaled it up a bit, not crazy, and then just jumped into coaching it. He was only in the space for maybe 2 years max, and then tried to coach it without developing more skills. So he stopped maybe in 2021, started coaching, but it changes so much, the online space, from 2021 to when I joined him. What he was teaching was like nearly outdated at that point. So they were ineffective. So from there, that was like such an exhaustion point for me, because just trying to make something work, nothing working. And I don't know how I came across Adam, but I can't remember how I crossed paths with him. I didn't even know who he was up until obviously crossed paths, but I jumped on a call with him. He was just asking questions about what I'm doing, like how I'm doing certain things. And I remember he just bet me down. He was like, man, what the fuck are you doing? And it was such a I was just at rock bottom with it. Wasted all this money, was working for hours on end trying to make something work, and it just wasn't working. But I was just focusing on the wrong things because no one was there to tell me how to do something, to tell me how to do this. And yeah, I just joined with Adam. I remember I was in my little room in London and we were just on a call, and he was like, it's going to cost X. And I told him, I was like, man, this is all I have. It wasn't even like the whole amount. I didn't even have I think it was maybe a quarter of the whole cost of the thing. And I just told him, I was like, this is literally all of my pennies that I'm giving you right now. And my rent is due next week. And he just said something, I don't know what it was, but he just has a good way of like making you realize you might be being an idiot. And he just said something like, okay, it's time to jump or something. I don't know what it was, but I just said, yeah, let's go. Gave him every penny I had. And yeah, the best decision I've made to date.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, you often hear people saying that those moments in life when you're standing on the edge of the cliff and you can feel the sweat rolling down your back and you know that it is do or die time. That was your do or die time right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think you need that moment if you're doing something. It doesn't have to be like an online business, just in trying to create freedom or be an entrepreneur. I think you need that moment of like you're back against the wall to figure a way out of it. I think if you're kind of comfortable, it's that discomfort that makes you like, oh shit, I'm in London. I have no money. My rent is due next week. What do I do? It just makes you like, it's like life, fight or flight kind of mode.
And when was this? How many months ago was this?
This was back in May, I think, last year, May or June, sometime there. I joined that other guy in March, and that was just a shit show. So that was a 3-month or a 4-month. I think it was a 3-month thing, and it was actually 2 months in. I'm pretty sure I joined on with Adam. I didn't even finish the last month with that guy because it was just so bad. Yeah, I just joined on with Adam then. So what's that, March, April? Yeah, May, end of May.
And you're still with Adam now today?
Yes, I'll be with him as long as I'm doing this, I'd say, to be honest.
So let's fast forward now since May of 2024. I don't need to know figures, but I'm just keen to understand, where are you in your business today? Do you still see yourself in that storming phase where everything is just being thrown into the top of the funnel and you're trying to work it all out? Or do you feel like you're getting into the forming stage now where you've got a lot of your systems and processes built up already and you're starting to grow the revenue, the top line revenue of the business? Where are you at now?
So it's still like a year trying to figure something out that you're always going to be, I'm still so new to it, but feels like you learn a lot very fast, but it's still growing, still learning a lot. There's definitely systems in place and there's a structure to it. The biggest thing I think is there were so many doubts beforehand of like, oh my God, can I even do this? There was just all these doubts creeping in, all the limiting beliefs behind it that just that hold you back from growing. Even if you are skilled or you do have the knowledge, it's like if their doubts are there, they're going to be at the forefront of your mind. They're going to pull you back every single day. That I think once you get a taste of that little success or those little wins, that you start kind of eliminating those doubts. And then you can actually see a clear picture like, oh shit, this is actually it's so easy. So that like first phase of 0 to a handful of clients, I'm not going to say the hardest part because there's a lot more I have to experience with it too, but there's definitely, you're just fighting yourself at that point because you have no proof of concept in the back of your mind that you really just have to practice your mind, just get rid of the doubts along the way.
Is there a ceiling to the amount of business that you can take on here, or can you just keep growing exponentially year over year?
Not exponentially every year. I think, again, that's kind of the beauty of those pods. And that's just me. It could be just like aggressive ignorance in that sense. I don't even know if that's a term, but just like, yeah, it sounds cool. So I'm going to trademark that. Yeah. That's kind of where like the pods come in. So you have a pod that deals with this many clients or this stuff. You just get more pods, get more clients. I genuinely believe you can scale it as big as your mind believes. Genuinely.
Yeah. How do you market yourself?
Giving away all the sauce now. So SMS is the big one at the minute for me.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. It's the best thing out there right now.
Really? I'm actually surprised to hear that, because when I think SMS, I think old technology, but clearly not.
It's like SMS, the term SMS it is kind of an old term, but literally it's just, they've started actually sending now. I just checked my phone. They basically automated SMS goes out from 3 p.m. sends whatever, like 700 SMS every day, all automated. And it's just such a simple, like if your phone buzzed, if you had a business and whatever it is, and you just got a text saying, hey, are you looking for more work, or whatever the kind of the outreach message is, you're going to see that instantly. So if you're slightly interested, you're going to reply and say, yeah, sure. So it's definitely my best form of acquisition right now. I think people will catch on soon, so I'm trying to milk it for what it's worth at the moment.
You're going to have to take me a little bit deeper on this one, right? Because I need to understand how it all works. So you have a plan with your mobile phone company, right? And that plan allows you to have what, unlimited texts? Is that right?
No, so it's a complete different. It's like your CRM.
Oh, it's your CRM. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have your CRM. You buy a phone number off that, and then you can kind of like warm up the number. So you start with a low volume and slowly increase it, and just send out SMS. But there's another thing on your mobile that I actually got my Apple ID completely removed, and I've lost like everything on my phone. There's an app that lets you automate from your phone as well. But what I made the mistake of was leaving iMessage on. So Apple saw that I was sending like a shitload of messages every second. So they just completely removed my Apple ID. That's been a bit of a disaster. That happened like a few days ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, just trying to understand this fully, you're using your CRM system to harvest target customers that you want to talk to. You create the automated series of messaging that you want to send out by SMS, and you hit the go button.
Yeah, pretty much. You just get your numbers and stuff first of the businesses you want, and you basically just upload that list in bulk and just add it to that. It's called like a workflow. So the step one is first message, then there's like steps to it. So you just add it to that workflow and off to the races.
So I presume at some point during that workflow, you're either closing out that opportunity as a piece of business won, or you're closing it out as a piece of business lost.
If they reply, there's also a thing set up there that automates that process of when they reply, puts it in my pipeline of like interested replies, and there's a whole world to it. But yeah, if they don't reply, they just kind of go on the back foot, and then maybe a month later I'll buy a new number and send them another message so they think it's a different person.
So you're buying your leads and you're marketing to those leads, and then you're converting X amount of them into real business for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thanks for explaining that, because I didn't know how that worked at all. All right. So we have a set of businesses that we've marketed to. We've got our leads. We're following up with telephone calls or whatever that is. You're securing your business and you're growing your business in that way. So let's fast forward now to 3 years down the line. So it's now 2028, January 2028. Where is Brian living? Where is he working? Good. I'm looking forward to the answer to this one. How many people or pods has he got working for him? Is he still in the business? That's the big question.
That's a good question. I have a vision board done out that I'm still building out for the 3-year mark. Ideally, we'll be out of a lot of the day-to-day business-wise. Pods, I don't know. It depends on, I'm more focused on the revenue that it generates, which 3 years time, ideally it'll be 200K a month plus in revenue. And it will be 200K plus. In terms of where I live, I love Portugal. I really do love Portugal, but I don't hear a whole lot of online people out there. So I think Marbella seems like a base to have for a lot. So yeah, Marbella, maybe South America. I think I'll always have 2 to 3 places that I'll bounce between on a yearly basis. So that would be my plan. 2 dogs. I want 2 Dobermans as well. That's also on my vision board.
Nice. Presumably they'll travel with you to South America or Portugal, wherever you're living, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
And you talked about some figures there, and I'm led to believe that those types of figures, like 200K a month, they are not pie in the sky figures. So these figures are genuinely achievable.
100%. So achievable. There's a lot of people that, have been in the space a lot longer. And again, they're no one special. They all say that, like, you know, you don't have to be special for it. You just have to want it enough and believe that you can do it. So some people out there doing 1 million a month, an online agency. There's crazy numbers out there. Like, it really is. And once you see a bit of it, it just makes sense. You're like, oh, it's actually not. If you told me this 6 months ago, I'd probably be like, nah, that's crazy. But once you're around it more and you see people do it, it's very achievable.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting.
It is.
What advice would you give to anybody thinking about setting up an online business? What are the steps that you would recommend they take? And what are the things to absolutely avoid if they possibly can?
Things to absolutely avoid is a good question. It's in your thoughts. If it's never going to go away until you actually act on it, especially when you're thinking about if you're in that, like, the 9 to 5. And don't get me, I'm not shitting on 9 to 5s, by the way. I just knew that it wasn't for me. But if that's in your thought process of, you know, there's something that you can do with an online business, that thought will never, ever go, because you're aware that it's a possibility until you actually move on it. So I think if it's a thought, just bite the bullet, take the jump. Things to avoid would be just negative energy that's around. So, you know, if there's people, I've actually have been so lucky that there's a lot of stigma toward, not stigma, but you hear a lot of stories about, oh, I tried to start an online business. My friends would always, you know, kind of take the piss out of me for doing it, or your family doesn't agree with it and whatnot. Like, so many of those stories that your friends they'd message you saying, who the fuck do you think you are? Blah, 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 all this stuff. Been so grateful that literally that's never happened once. So if that is a thing that your friends do say XYZ to you, just get out of there, cut them off, and just focus on where you want to go. Definitely get a mentor from the beginning. I definitely recommend it. And just try find people that are doing the same thing. That, you know, A Players Club, that group I mentioned earlier, everyone's on the same path. Everyone's doing something with themselves. Try connect with people that are doing it. Talk to someone that's maybe a bit ahead of you, and just put yourself out there. That would be just take the jump, honestly.
People like me look at people like you and I go, oh, wow, living in Marbella or Alicante, wherever it is in Spain that you're living. I'm going, wow, that must be just fantastic. But what is the reality like? Is it a whole bunch of Brians working day and night to build up their businesses like any other person who's trying to build a business? And do you actually get time to socialize, to enjoy the country that you're living in, to experience all that it has to offer? Or is it purely building a business in a sunnier place than Ireland?
Probably the latter, to be fair. Again, it's like, if you think you're going to be out of it in a year and have it so set up and structured well enough that you don't need to be in the day-to-day after a year, probably not. But to be fair, some people probably do. Like, you hear these crazy stories of someone that started a year later, they've scaled it to a crazy number, but that's kind of here nor there. But yeah, honestly, the day-to-day, it's every day, Monday to Saturday, up at 7 a.m, do my morning routine, stretch, whatever, get to work till 11, head to the gym, back for 1, work again till maybe 9 or 10, have 1-2 hours of planning, writing, reading, and doing stuff like that, and then into bed and up again the next day again. I used to cut my sleep off and get not a lot of sleep, but I've kind of realized, you know, I'm way more productive with an extra hour or 2 in bed. So trying to prioritize sleep a bit more. The weekends then, depending on how much gets done in the week, Saturday could be a chill enough work day. And ideally, you know, Sunday you'll do a work block in the morning and then enjoy where you're living. But for the most part, it's work, gym, eat, sleep. And that's really it.
What I'm picking up very strongly from you, Brian, is that this is in no way a get rich quick scheme. It sounds like you will get richer if you work harder, and the opportunities are greater than other businesses that people might wish to set up. However, the same disciplines are still required. The dedication, the hard work, the smile as you dial, pick up the phone, make the calls. If you're not making the calls, you're not making the business, and your business is not growing. So there's no real secret sauce here, is there? It's simply about dedication, hard work, and going for it.
Yeah. When I first got like the idea, I guess if I had known everything I know now, I probably would have pushed me away from it. Knowing like, oh my God, there's so much stuff to do. Now it's just kind of like I get up and do it and I enjoy doing it. But especially in the first kind of phase when you're trying to get people on board and you're trying to build out offers and do all that stuff, so much going on that it's just like such a hectic time. Like that was only a year ago as well. A year is not a long time to start a business and even see success with it. So like what's happened in a year is crazy enough in itself. But I think if I knew everything that I knew now about what it takes, it probably would have pushed me a bit back. I did have this idea of a get rich quick, not quick, but get rich quicker than any other avenue out there. Because you're sold, a lot of people sell you on this promise of 0 to 10K in 3 months. And it's a load of bullshit. Like some people do it, to be fair, they do manage to figure it out and they do it. But like for the most part, that's the thing. People start, they do it for 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months. They don't see results and then they quit because they're sold this false hope on it. But yeah, you just have to stick it out. And once you kind of get that first bit of success, you just like ride the wave, keep them coming in. And then you'd have a down patch again, but it's just up and down.
Yeah.
The whole way.
Yeah. And I certainly don't want to know figures. As I said earlier, if anybody is setting up a traditional, we'll call it a traditional business compared to yours, they always look at the first 2 to 3 years of real hard graft, no money, no payback. And then year 4, if you're lucky, year 5, yes, you need to be clearing a nice profit in year 5 and then building thereafter. Are you in a position now, 12 months into your business, where you're making money, you're making profit, and you're heading in the right direction?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny, I still get messages off, well, not a whole lot anymore, but my mom still would message me saying if I'm stuck for money and stuff. I'm like, because it's such a foreign thing for a lot of people that she just thinks I'm sat in an apartment trying to do something, but yeah, she'd still message kind of curious, like if I'm stuck for money, if I can pay rent or whatever it is, and it's a profitable business already in 12 months. So it doesn't feel like it though. You still have that fear because it could go tomorrow. That's the biggest thing with it, is like there's no kind of security in the start. Even if have a decent number coming in every month, it could be gone.
How does that work? How could it be gone?
Oh, you could just could get shitty results for your clients. They don't want to pay you next month. They can drop off at the click of their fingers. Although there's an agreement behind it, like it doesn't really mean much because they can just say, I'm not going to pay another month for no results. So like it could be that. Some people there's so many variables to why you could lose clients.
So you have a growing recurring revenue stream. And the flip side of that is that you've got to keep the customers rolling in. You've got to work for your money. There's no such thing as making money while you sleep, is there? Because the more your business grows, the more contracts you've got to sign, or the more leads you've got to generate for me, the plumber.
Yeah. There's definitely the first phase of growth where it can go quick. But I think once you break through a certain number, end of year, I want a 7-figure business. That's my goal for the end of the year. And I think once you crack even like whatever, 750 a year, that number, I think once you crack that, you can build so much stability behind it. You can have all these systems in place and you just have a consistent stream coming in. And, you're going to lose clients along the way 100%, but it's part of the game. And I think it's just the hardest part is getting to that kind of the safety net, I guess, if you want to call it.
I remember listening to a really interesting discussion, a really interesting talk by the then CEO of McDonald's and McDonald's Food Corporation. And he questioned his audience and asked the audience, what is McDonald's? What type of business is McDonald's? And the usual answers came up. It's a food business, or it's a service business, or it's a hospitality business. And he actually said, yes, to a point on all of those, but what McDonald's actually is a real estate business. So McDonald's invests in properties that appreciate in value over time. That's what makes the money. It just so happens that they sell burgers as a means to keeping that business afloat. Now,
Yeah.
what is your business? Is your business a sales business? Is it a marketing business? What exactly is it?
It's a service. I don't like to say I provide a service to businesses, but I like to see it as more of a partnership with businesses. That a lot of these guys, they're good on the tools, they're good at what they do, but they don't know anything about how to market themselves. Some guys, they could be doing 250,000 a year, even 500,000, even north of 1 million, which they're solid numbers, but they might have no market. They have nothing in place for their marketing. They just have a good service. They know how to do well, and they got the business in. So I kind of like to see it like, hey, I'm coming on board for you guys. I'm going to build out all this stuff for you and scale your business more. So yeah, it's an online service-based business.
Go back to the young man who was sitting on the tube on his way home from being fired way back when. Are you happy with your decisions? Are you happy with the direction you've taken? Are you happy with the journey that you're on?
First off, that was one of the few jobs I didn't get fired from. That company claimed insolvency. So I got fired from a lot, but not that. Yeah. So happy I made that choice. If I could go back, I'd probably do it sooner, but you can never go back. And also everything that's happened with getting a degree, going through jobs and all that stuff, it's led me here. So it's all happened at the right time. But yeah, best decision I ever made was just taking that leap.
What have we not discussed?
What have we not discussed?
What are the big things in your life or your business life that we haven't had a chance to talk about today? And is there anything else that we need to dive into a bit deeper?
Maybe the mindset behind it, I guess. That's something that's always going to be a work in progress. And I mean, there's a million things that we probably haven't talked about, There's always so much stuff to talk about with this kind of thing. But mindset is huge. I think that's something people don't focus on a lot.
So tell me about mindset and why is it important?
Because what you believe is true is true. So if you don't believe you can get to a certain number or do certain things, you won't. If you believe you can do it, that's the biggest benefit you can have. Without that, you can't really do anything. You'll only grow to where your mind will let you. And if you think I can only get to 10K a month, you'll only get to 10K a month. If you think you can do 1 million a month, you can't just say the stuff and it'll happen. You have to work for it too. But if you don't believe it, you won't get there. And I think it's a huge part of it all.
And just to challenge you on this one, because there are people who will say that, Brian is well educated. He's learned a lot from his mentor. He's learned a lot from the various courses that he's invested in and so on. Is that mindset that you have, that you've just described, is that something that you really believe at a cellular level in your body? Or is that something that you are currently training yourself to do?
I think you'll always be training yourself to, if you stop doing it, those doubts will come back in. It's always a work in progress. You're always reaffirming to yourself that what you believe or what you want, you basically paint a picture of who you want to be. And you just repeat that over and over to yourself. It's I wish I could remember the part of the book, but there's a book called Outwitting the Devil. There was a really good part of it, but I can't remember what it was, so I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, essentially you're wired to think a certain way from as soon as you're born all the way up until you die. And there's so many little hooks in everyday life that will hold you back from thinking for yourself. There's many, many things that relate to that, but I don't want to get into it too much. But you just have to rewire your brain. Before I started this, I'm still a normal lad. I'm not trying to say I'm not, but I didn't think anything of myself. I didn't think future terms. I just was yeah, I'm going to show up to work on a Monday, finish on a Friday, go out with the points on the weekend and back again on Monday. So there's a lot of reprogramming to be done. There's a lot of doubts that you'll have, limiting beliefs that you'll have when you first start. And every single person who's successful, especially in this space, but even just in general, they'll all touch on it, that developing your mind and reprogramming your mind is the biggest part of all of it.
And that's something that you continue to invest in for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So daily in the morning, in the night. I do the same thing in the morning. I have that vision board with the affirmations on it of who I want to be. And it's in like, Brian O'Neill is this. He is that. It's not like I want to be this, or repeated so much in your head that you just attract that into your life, or you kind of veer towards that, I guess.
In some senses, this whole journey that you're on is Brian O'Neill v. Brian O'Neill, isn't it? And it sounds like Brian O'Neill is winning.
Yeah, 100%. And going to keep winning too.
Good to hear, Brian. That's really brilliant. So your story is remarkable, really remarkable. And it's so impressive that after 12 months or a little bit more, your business is already profit making. And that in itself is a huge achievement. And it sounds like you're putting the right level of investment into your business in terms of your mindset, in terms of the systems and structures that you have to put in place to grow the revenue and to grow that level of recurring revenue that you're looking for. And it sounds, most of all, it sounds so exciting what you're doing, and the opportunities seem so great that I just can't wait to follow your journey and hope to see a whole lot more of Brian O'Neill in the future.
Yeah, something I'm always learning, just how to get better. But I think, the mindset stuff is really, really one of the biggest parts. Most people say it's like 95% mindset, 5% strategy. So I'm trying to put more time into that as I grow as well. I think it's huge. So
last question from me. Is there a part of your business that you can grow now as a mentor? You talked about Adam Power earlier on. Is that a space that you can see yourself operating in the future? So if there are young pod members that are looking to take the journey themselves on their own, is there a business for you there, Brian, to go and help those people?
I think my passion, or what I'm definitely going to veer towards, is helping people. In what sense, I don't know, but I know you have your passion. This is just a vehicle to get me to be able to fund my passion down the line. So I don't know how I'll help people or what it is I'll help them with, but potentially it could be business related. It could be whatever related. I don't know. But yeah, I think long term, it will be something that will help people for sure.
What is that passion that you talk about?
It's just what I really want to do. I really want to help people of some kind. And it sounds kind of like maybe a bit cliche or whatnot, but where my passion is just helping people. Maybe in the online space, it could be that. But the main focus now, I can't fund my passion right now. There's so much more growth I need to do with myself and in business that I wouldn't have the time to even help people. I don't even know what I'd help them with right now. But right now, it's just focusing on growing the business, growing myself, get it to a point where out of the day-to-day, not completely, I don't think I ever will, but out of the day-to-day enough that, okay, I have time, I have money. Where is my passion? Why am I here? I think everyone has their whys in life and why they're here and what they really are passionate about. But this thing here, what I'm doing now, is just a vehicle to get me to the next stage.
Fun question. Love the name. Sore Thumb.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Awesome.
How did that come about? It wasn't a stupid story that I closed the door on my hand or anything. I wish there was a cool story behind it, and that's one thing as well. Like starting off, trying to pick a name. I made business cards. It was just like the most pointless shit. I've never used one of those business cards other than to maybe clean off crumbs off the table or something. I don't know, but I wasted so much time in the beginning just doing pointless stuff. It was like using ChatGPT to give me business names related to XYZ. And I stuck with Social. It was such a shit name. Social Flair Agency. Yeah. Anyways, awful name, but that was the first name. And I don't know where it came from, but I just remember working away under Social Flair. And then I just had this click moment of Sore Thumb, stand out like one. And I was like, yeah, I actually like that. So just kind of ran with that. It came natural too, which I like. It wasn't something I tried to force. It just kind of clicked. So yeah, no cool story.
I can see the shape of the business card now. You can get them die cut.
Yeah. I even got the logo tattooed.
Oh, you have the logo as well. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, had to.
All right, Brian. Well, it's a real pleasure to talk to you and to get to know you and get to know what you're doing with your business. And I've really enjoyed it, and I wish you all the very best for the future. And hopefully someday soon we'll get you back to see how progress is going on the Nicky Hughes Show.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure. Yeah, fun experience. First podcast, so definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, hopefully we're back on soon.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Nicky Hughes Show. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with your friends. It really helps us to grow and reach more amazing people like you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to connect with us on social media or visit our website at nickyhughes.com. You can also follow the show's updates and get in touch with today's guest through our socials. Make sure to join us next week, where we'll be getting to know another legend from the world of business. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep uncovering the gold in everyday stories.